No, I wasn't. So I think I signed up, and the next thing I knew, I got a letter saying they lost in court.
Jim Freeberger is going to be doing the presentation. I want to hold Sanford. I would like you to do the open forum. I'm probably going to go mute because I'm not feeling good. And what I would like you to do is quit at 8 o'clock so I can put Jim on at that time.
You got it, sir.
You're all set.
Okay, Jerry, go take care of yourself, all right?
Well, I'm going to stay here, but I'm just having things that you don't want to, I don't want to talk about right now.
That's okay. Go ahead and smoke a few if you feel like it. You know,
Yeah.
throw back a couple of martinis while you're sitting.
I wish I could. I wish I could.
I know. Maybe a couple of shots of tequila. Okay. But I join you on those. But
Yeah.
anyways, welcome everybody to the West Side Computer Club. We're going to have the open forum. Who'd like to open the floor with the first question of the evening? Oh, Tom, he had his hand up already. No, he's shaking his head.
I waved hello.
All right, who'd like to open up the floor with the first question? Al, what's that nice vehicle behind you? Is that your new buggy?
Yeah, that's a new toy. I'm sitting on my driveway right now. I'm broadcasting from my driveway.
Is that a Ford? Yeah. F-150 or what?
It's a 150, 2021. It's a
Well, tell me
Lariat.
about all the computers that are involved in the F-150.
Oh, I don't know all the computers, but there's a bunch of them. And there's so many that the shortage of chips have slowed down. You actually stopped production. And so there's just no way of telling you how many computers there are on this thing.
It's kind of amazing how much chips they throw in these cars these days. And we wonder, do we really, really, really need all that stuff? But
Yes, you do.
yes, you do. Okay.
Once you get used to them, you got to say, hey, where is it?
Very true. Very true. I was driving just for a couple hours, I got to drive a new Subaru Outback, and they've got one of those big panel displays in the middle there. And one of the things that car does is every time you go up to an intersection, you stop, the engine shuts off. And then now that particular day, it was like 90 degrees with 100% humidity, and the air conditioner runs off the engine. So it would have to restart like after a minute or two. And when that car started, it was a kerchunking action. It was not like my Honda Civic Hybrid that is really well integrated for the what do they call it? The stopping of the engine. I don't know what they call that.
Auto stop.
Auto stop. Thank you. But what I was getting to is on their big iPad that they got in the middle there, you start hunting through the menus, you could turn off that feature just as a software function, which I did. But that's what I was getting at. There's so much technology in these cars now, and you can control a lot of it just from a panel. Amazing.
Well, in this truck, it's got auto stop. And like you say, when you pull up to a stop sign, the engine cuts off. The air conditioner also cuts off because it needs the engine.
Right.
So if it's on a real hot day, you can press a button to say, cut off the auto stop. Auto stop cuts off, so you don't ever lose your air conditioning. Now, in my Cadillac, it's got auto stop also, but there's no provision for shutting it down when there is when the air conditioning is on. Okay, when the air conditioning is on, the auto stop just doesn't work. It cuts itself off.
Amazing. They didn't think about that part.
For some reason, my 2010 Prius, which is also hybrid, when the engine would cut out, if the compressor is running at all, the engine won't cut out, or it'll run if it has to. Otherwise, the AC runs off of the hybrid battery.
Yep, and that's the way my Honda is. It runs off the hybrid battery, and so it never turns off. The air conditioning just runs flawlessly. So, but that's the smaller cars and not the big trucks that they're making today.
Well,
So, go ahead.
the bigger ones just simply need to get more batteries.
Yes.
That's why they give you a
Pardon?
switch. That's why they give you a switch to turn it off.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just kind of went off on a tangent here just because I saw Al's bright, shiny truck over there. Looks gorgeous, Al.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're keeping the
Sanford.
economy going by buying an American vehicle.
Absolutely.
Right. Tom?
I'd have to say that the car behind you doesn't have that kind of function.
No, there was no technology in that one. I don't think you'll find a chip anywhere in that thing. Well, you might find a chip in the paint, but not in the car.
Yeah.
Okay, so
vacuum tube in the radios.
yeah. So who's got a question? Technology related, computer related question?
I do.
Yes.
I have a friend who has a problem with his computer. It's a Mac. And I'll basically tell you what the problem is. And I know you guys, we got a lot of brain power here. He has a Mac operating system. It's called Big Sur version 11.5.2, a Mac Mini, late 2014. Processor 1.4 gigahertz, dual core Intel. And when he's using the computer, the monitor flickers, it turns on and off. It does not seem to be a problem of the monitor since he tried it with another PC and it works perfectly. It flickers when he navigates the internet and text and pictures come up, also when switching from one app to another. It does not flicker when he's working, for example, on Microsoft Word documents like black and white. He tried software update. It tells him that the computer is up to date. He checked the cables. He cleared the cache and system junk. Online tells him to reset the PRAM or the NVRAM, but he's afraid he might lose some data. So he didn't go that far. So any possible thoughts?
Well, PRAM and VRAM are just forms of memory. And I believe one of them is non-volatile.
Okay,
So-
ENV.
So those could be ROMs. Those could be ROMs in a Mac.
Oh,
Okay, but what do you guys think is causing this flickering? My question is it flickering, it just flickers, or does it go to black and if he moves his mouse, it comes back?
okay, he's out in San Diego right now for meetings. But the impression I got is goes black on and off totally.
Okay,
Not sure about how it reacts to that mouse, but it doesn't seem that it reacts to the mouse. To the applications, when it goes from one app to another app, goes on, turns back on.
my thought, now, Tim, you're more of a Mac guy, but it could be a driver issue or a BIOS issue. Anyone else?
Tim?
Oh, Tim, you sound terrible. You sound like a mouse. Still can't hear you, Tim. He's actually a good impression of Mickey Mouse there, I think.
We were saying Alvin and the Chipmunks, but anyway.
So Tim, you got bad connection here. You want to go out and come back in? Would that help? Or you tried that already? Why don't you try logging out to Zoom and come back in, and we'll see if we can, maybe that'll clear up the question. And Bob, you were going to say, well, Tim's trying.
Yeah, there are things called IRQs, and some of them are controlled by BIOS on a Mac. Some of them are controlled by the ROMs. So again, those PRAM and VRAM updates, PRAM and VRAM. Firmware updates of any kind would probably help if there are any. And obviously you've checked all the connections and all the cables and all the ports. But that doesn't mean that there isn't some conflict within the bus. And you're saying this happens when there are larger graphic demands, like going out onto the internet or doing a graphical application, one that does a lot of video or something, or anything that has moving pictures, animation.
Yes.
That sounds a lot like these kinds of issues. Sometimes driver updates help.
Yeah, now the thing is with the Mac, you really don't have control over what gets installed and drivers and stuff. I almost would say if he did a refresh on the OS install, like re-download it and reinstall it, that may help. And on Macs, you can safely do that without destroying anything. Okay. Tim's really still got a problem over there. Maybe it's the machine you're using. No. Are you internet connection? No. Okay, so we can either go to sign language, a whiteboard where you're going to hold up your words and we're going to read it. Don't know what else to say for help at try to figure out Tim's problem. Aldo, just as an FYI, I have a similar problem on this Toshiba laptop, and I've never been able to diagnose what the heck causes it. My screen will start flickering out of the blue. Sometimes it has to do with the fact that it's been in hibernation. It comes out of hibernation, then it starts flickering. Other times it's on a fresh boot. It'll start doing it. I saw a little blurb on a Lenovo site that it was a BIOS issue on the Lenovos that was causing that, and they did a BIOS update for it. Unluckily, in my particular Toshiba, there's no BIOS updates. It's too old of a machine.
Sanford, I had a Toshiba, and there's actually a conflict between the touchpad driver and the video.
Okay, that makes sense because I often have problems with the touchpad driver, and every now and then in Windows, it stops working. I have to uninstall it and then reinstall it, and then it works fine. But I don't notice if the flickering changes at all related to that. So my solution was just to buy a new computer, you know.
Yeah, it would have been go to Toshiba, get their latest driver, and override Microsoft's driver.
I have done that, except none of their stuff is new because they're not supporting Windows 10 on this particular laptop. I think maybe 8 might have been it as far as they went, but
yeah,
too old of a machine.
Probably the Windows 10 driver wouldn't be installable.
Right. So Aldo, I don't know what else to tell you other than what we came across, and if Tim's able to figure out his audio, you know what? Tim can also write you a chat. He could write a chat to everybody, and we can find out what he has to say while he's debugging this.
Appreciate it, yeah.
Okay, very good question. We're not great Mac people over here.
Could it have been a video graphics card that's in the machine that's failing?
Bob?
Mac Mini doesn't have a graphics card.
Yeah, and I don't. Yeah, Mac Minis don't. It's all on chip is where they do it.
Hence, these chip updates, these chipset updates that he was talking about. There are 2 of them, he said. Try them.
Right.
Because everything in those Mac Minis, at least up to a certain time frame, it was all in ROM. And the ROMs are updatable.
Right. They're flashable.
And it doesn't destroy anything as long as the flashing works.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, we kind of helped you, but we didn't. Next question, new direction? Boy, this is a tough crowd tonight. Joe, what do you got? Anything?
Yeah, I got a question.
I knew if I asked you.
All right. Google Photos.
Google Photos.
It's supposed to, when you take a picture, it's supposed to go out and take that picture and it puts it in its on the cloud, right? It puts it out there. It's
Yes.
stored in Google Photos. Is that correct?
By default,
By default. That means I should be able to, after I take the picture with my phone, I should be able to go to my desktop computer, log on, go to Google Photos, and see the photo I just took on Google Photos when it shows me all my photos in Google Photos, right?
it can take time to upload, and you may have to
I'm
encourage
talking
it.
days. I'm talking days.
Oh,
The only way I've been able to do it is with each individual picture. I go into the edit. I wait till I get a little picture of a cloud on the toolbar on the Android phone. Wait till I get a little picture of a cloud. I hit the cloud. It goes around in a circle. I hit the cloud again. And then when I go to my computer, the picture is there. But it's actually loading it manually every time so that my computer can look at it. Then I go to my tablet and look, and it's not on my tablet.
Question. Have you checked your quota, your percentage of your Google quota?
Yes, I'm at 7 gigs out of 15.
So you're fine there.
I'm fine.
Okay, so the new policy about maximum storage does not apply here.
Not really, no.
So it's a problem where your phone isn't really getting the job done. And you might need to use your Google Drive instead.
Well, I think that's what I've been doing is I've been sending it over to the drive and then it shows up on my desktop computer. But I just checked my tablet and it's not on there. It's not updated there. So it's driving me nuts. I can't figure out why it's not getting to the places it's supposed to get to. If you're in the cloud, if these pictures are in the cloud and I'm accessing the cloud from the same cloud from these various devices, I should see the same thing in all 3 devices. Why am I seeing it in one device but not in the other 2?
Okay,
or
something
why
else.
I have to jump through hoops.
Something else to check in your settings is sync on.
Let me double check. But once again, wouldn't that be automatic?
Not necessarily. Sync is not on automatically.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you go to look at your cloud, it doesn't matter whether it's synced or not. It's in the cloud. It should be in the cloud, right?
No, with
No.
Google services, it does matter. You need to sync.
Okay. All right. Where do I find sync at?
Somewhere in your settings, I could
Somewhere
dig
in
in
the
mine
settings.
if I were logged in.
Okay, settings. Let's see. Connections, sounds, vibrate, no notifications, display.
My browser is always prompting me to do this.
Yeah, privacy, location, accounts and backup. Advanced features, digital well-being, device care, apps.
Let
general
me
management.
find out.
General management. What about that? Nope, not there. That didn't make it.
Okay, there's a YouTube videos called Geeks on Tour.
Yeah,
and
I've
they-
seen them.
She does videos and she does that about how you have to do something besides just what you were talking about. There's something else you have to do to get it into the photos. There's a second step. But they have a whole YouTube video about that.
Okay, here you go. You'll need
All right.
to get into your Google account. And from your Google account, it says, it just says it's part of your account settings in your Google account. Huh. Well, Google doesn't tell you where it is.
No.
Okay, let's
never
find
do.
out. Let's find out from How to Geek what they say. All right, fire up Chrome browser. And
I don't have
there's,
Chrome browser.
well, they're saying how to do it from the Chrome browser.
Okay.
Okay, they sign into Chrome, which gets you into your account.
Okay, well, I can get in my
Does
Gmail account.
Does your account have profile?
What do you mean, does it have profile?
Is that one of the things when you're in your account, does it show some kind of a heading that says profile?
Let's see here. Okay. Google account.
Yeah, it's in a,
Okay, backup complete, account storage, your data in Google Photos, photo settings, help and feedback. That's it.
it would be sync and personalization.
Oh, it's not there.
Go settings.
I'm at the profile, manage your Google account. Let's try that. No, that's where I'm at. Oh, no, here it is. Okay, privacy and personalization, did you say?
Yeah, try that.
Okay, privacy and personalization. And you have security recommendations, account storage. Would that be it? Your account storage is shared across Google services like Drive, Gmail, and Photos. See, and this is the
No,
thing.
that's
In
just
my
the storage.
Gmail, with my Gmail, I get the Gmail in all three devices. If I get one Gmail, if I get an email in one Gmail account, it's automatically in all three.
Yeah.
But it's this one with the photos that doesn't go to all three.
Is there a setting within Photos that says sync?
No, I was just there.
Okay, well, what you have to sync is sync everything. Not just sync, but sync everything.
Sync everything. Okay. Let's see here.
Oh, here's how to do it from Android.
Okay, how do we do it from Android?
Tap on the cog wheel. Once you're in settings, swipe down and select.
Okay.
Once you're in
Okay, wait a
settings,
second. Cog wheel, settings. Okay, and then what?
swipe down
I did.
and select accounts.
Okay, accounts. Accounts and backup.
Yes.
Okay, accounts.
There may be a more button.
No, there's not. It just says accounts, backup and restore, Samsung Cloud, Smart Switch, and looking for something else. Reset.
You're looking for auto sync.
Nothing like that under accounts and backup. Let's see if it's.
We're looking for an all and a sync all.
Sync all, advanced features. Maybe it's there. Your direct share, reduce animations, motion gestures, one-handed mode, game launcher, dual messenger, and navigation bar, easy mode. Nope, that's not it.
Well, it also depends on which Android you have.
Yeah. General management, that's not it. Device care, digital well-being, advanced features. I went there.
Okay.
Software update. Nope, nowhere. Nada.
All of these others say you have to be in your browser, your Chrome browser.
In the Chrome browser. Okay, well, I can get into Chrome browser on my phone.
And then you have to be
what it comes with. Is that?
Yeah. Then you have to be signed
so we'll
in.
Go to the Chrome browser. Okay, I'm in the Chrome browser.
You're signed in on your account.
Eventually, it's getting there. I think it's there. Okay.
And it shows you your profile icon with your picture.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's a sync is on menu from the list. There's a menu list.
Okay, well, when I click on my profile picture, it just has a profile picture, manage your Google account, and manage accounts.
Above manage your account, it should either say sync is on, or if it doesn't, In
Nope.
this example, it says sync is on.
Mine says Joe Nowak. It has my email address and it says manager.
Let's try manage your Google account. It might have something where you can
Okay.
do that, where you can turn on
Okay.
sync.
Okay. Manage accounts on this device. Manage your Google accounts. Okay. And welcome Joe Nowak. Privacy and personalization. Manage your data and privacy.
Oh, here's
Manage
another
your
thing.
data.
Here's another thing. It's from the browser itself. The 3 dots menu.
Okay, let
Settings.
me go back to that.
3 dots
Let's
menu
go to the
settings.
3 dots. Okay, 3 dots. I have help and send feedback. That's what I have.
You have no settings?
I had settings when I first got in.
Okay.
Okay, it says, okay, let me go back. Hang on.
Yeah.
Just a second.
Yeah.
You asked for it, so you can't blame me this time.
I know.
Okay, let's see. Okay.
Chrome
It
browser.
says,
Yeah,
all right.
Chrome browser app. The 3 dots. There should be
okay.
a settings menu.
Here we go. Okay. Let's see, settings. Okay, I'll go to settings.
Sync.
There it is. Okay. And it says sync is on.
Okay, so sync is on, but tap manage sync.
I beg your pardon?
Tap manage sync. There should be something under sync and Google services that says
Oh.
manage sync.
Okay, let's take a look. Sync everything is turned on.
Okay, you're good. You should be doing it. Then it is not that problem. You are syncing.
Okay, then I'm going to take a picture and see if it goes over there before next meeting. Which I don't think it will.
Otherwise, your Google Photos may be malfunctioning and who knows what's going on there.
Okay, well, thank you anyhow. If it works, fine. If it doesn't, it said that everything is synced. So total loss there. I don't know.
Because when I take a picture on my phone, I have to tell it to upload, but I don't have sync turned on. If you have sync turned on, it should notify you when you take the photo that it's uploading, and it should have some kind of a cloud or something there.
I've got to do it manually every time.
Yeah.
And I don't take a lot of pictures. You know, I'm not one that takes 150 shots in an hour and a half.
Why not?
So it's not a big deal, but because I don't care. Okay, that much. I just have certain things I want to shoot, and that's it. But at any rate, it's still just very tedious to have to go through and do that. And you go one after another, and then it says, you know, can't do that now because there's too many in the queue or whatever. And so then I've got to wait until a couple of them get over there, and then pick up where I left off and do more of them.
Yeah.
So it's a pain.
Oh,
I might as well pull out the cables and plug it in and transfer it that way.
Google Photos refers to this process as backup. And it says backing up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it says backing up, but it doesn't.
Yeah. So
it says it's backing up.
You have another cloud upload app on your phone, and it may be intercepting this.
Okay, I don't know what it is, but it's driving me crazy. It's the one thing that I'm not happy about. I'm not crazy about Google Photos. I liked Picasa much better, but you know, it is what it is. You got to use what they have. I can still use Picasa. I've got it on other machines, but might as well learn how to use this one. And it does have a couple neat features that are fun to play with.
Well, my Moto G phone does not have its own cloud backup app. So it has nothing that tries to intercept cloud backup. Yours may be doing that. Yeah, I have a Moto, and it uses Google Photos and allows Google Photos to behave the way it normally would. I'm not sure how it will work on your phone.
Okay, well, gave me some ideas of things to play with, so I thank everyone there. Thank you.
In other words, I have to tell it not to back up in order to stop it.
I need to drink a soda after that.
Okay, okay. Well, we tried.
Do what we can. Thanks a lot.
You're here
everybody.
to drinking.
Yep, that's me.
Okay, well,
Hey,
Joe, that
Sanford.
was a great one. I knew calling on you would help. Yes,
We're ready to go.
we're ready.
Yeah.
I haven't finished saying hello to everybody.
Okay, say hello and then
Okay,
we'll
I
go.
just hold on. I gotta do the famous, did anyone buy anything new lately?
Working on
Nobody.
it.
Go ahead.
Working on a keyboard and a new enclosure. And the reason for the new enclosure is a thing called UASP. When you have an SSD in an enclosure and it's communicating by USB, the trim command does not transfer over unless you've got just the right controller.
That's an interesting thing I did not know.
And so, I found this out after a lot of trouble. And both Windows and Linux have the same issue.
Okay.
There has to be a translation of the command into basically a different language, a controlling language that can transfer over USB, but not over all USB interfaces.
Okay, so it's got to be a new USB enclosure that does this, right? Is this
No, it has
No.
to be the right one. It has to be the right one.
Oh,
It has to be either StarTech or a limited number of others.
okay. Is it some kind of specification that it has to follow?
Yes, it's a protocol.
It's a protocol. And what is it?
It may be an API, but it's a protocol.
Okay. Do you know what that protocol is?
UASP, and it has to be full UASP with trim.
Got it. Okay, because
And the command is unsomething rather than trim.
All right.
I can find exactly what
Bob,
it is.
at the tips and tricks, you can fill us all in on it, okay?
Sure.
All right. And anyone else buy anything new?
Yeah, I got a webcam.
You got a
And,
webcam.
because my camera on my laptop is all screwed up. The lens is mucked up. I screwed it up. That was me.
Okay.
So I got a new camera, a webcam for a whopping big $3.
You're spending too much money.
Yeah.
Yes, $3 on this, and that's the camera that I'm on right now.
Okay.
It was at Micro Center. They had an ad for it. They send an ad every day telling you what they've got on sale, and they had this thing on sale. And so I got it, and I figured, well, for $3, I'll take gamble. What the heck? And I plugged it in, and boom, there it is. It's working fine. So the biggest problem I have is trying to figure out a location for it to set up to get the right distance and the right angle. But other than that, it's great.
Okay.
And I also got free wireless headphones from
Nice.
Microsoft. They sent. I don't know if any of you get these things from them. They probably do. They give you a free 32 gig USB or every month or whatever. And this month they were giving away free headphones. So got free headphones.
Nice.
And they work pretty good. The only thing is, I think they only work with mobile. I can't get them to work with the laptop or the desktop.
Okay.
But they work fine with the phone and with the tablet.
Anyone else?
I'm waiting for a new computer to come in.
You're waiting for a new computer.
Yeah, the NUC 11. I've ordered 11.7,
Uh-huh.
11i7 NUC.
And when's that supposed to come in?
Whenever Intel turns them loose,
Okay. So they're that new.
that new.
Okay. I myself bought a new laptop and it doesn't show well on here. I wound up getting a Lenovo. I picked it up at Costco, Core i7, got plenty of RAM and let's say it has a M2 SSD in there. So, and I got a good price on it. So I'm real happy with that. Anyone else? If not, I'm being yanked off the stage here, so I'll turn it back over to Jerry.
Okay, thank you, Sanford.
You're welcome, Jerry.
Okay. Jim, are you ready to go? Unmute yourself, Jim, if you're not unmuted.
Okay, unmuting, and I'm setting up my share here. Well, everybody went away, so I take it that means that you should be seeing my slide that says email tips.
You got it.
All right. And for Donna, my email is there. And if you send me an email, I'll tell you how to get rid of some of that stuff. And if we have an extra minute or two here late in this session, I might even tell you tonight. So a couple of months ago, when Jerry was looking for people to do stuff, I volunteered to do something on email. And I asked for inputs from folks. And Mr. Tim was very, very kind and sent me a very interesting list of things that he thought would be good topics for an email talk. So the vast majority of what I'm talking about tonight are topics that Tim suggested, with a few adders I threw in on the side. The third slide in this, that's the one that's coming up, is sort of an index. It tells you what the items are, and it tells you what slide they start on. And when I started thinking about this, I was going to do Outlook and like Thunderbird. And then I realized there were a number of people who actually are doing email on their iPad. And so I decided that I would continue with the Outlook stuff, but I would do the iPad mail client. So you'll see on the next page, I might as well go to it. So what I've got here are a list of topics on the left side. And then what I have is called the Outlook view. We'll look at how you do these on Outlook. And these numbers are the slide numbers where that topic starts. And then we'll also do the iPad mail client. Now, by that, I mean the mail client that's built into your iPad. It's not Thunderbird or Outlook.com or something that you're doing on your iPad. There's actually an iPad mail client, and that's what this is using. And if you're doing it, you'll recognize the screens when I put them up. So I'm not sure how long this is going to take. So my plot is to go down through the Outlook stuff until we get through the spam stuff down to this point, check and see how our timing is. If we're doing really great, I'm going to go ahead and do the folder stuff and forwarding email. If not, I'm going to jump over and talk about the iPad stuff. And you'll notice on the iPad stuff, there are several items where there aren't page numbers. And it turns out a couple of these things, like doing some things with a contact list. Somebody mentioned earlier that, I think it was Donna, that your contacts were messed up. Well, my wife is the iPad person in our house. And a couple of updates ago, all of a sudden, her contacts got all screwed up. And she had a number of group email lists. They all got duplicated or triplicated, and some of them got emptied. So her contact stuff doesn't work very well. So I'm only going to talk a little bit about the contact stuff. The export import stuff, that all has to be done actually at the cloud level for the iPad. So I'm not talking about that. And then this email list stuff, it turns out that now with the iPad, you can't officially do that directly. It used to be a feature that they had, but apparently it either went away or my wife got it screwed up when her download got messed up. But there are a number of people who've put in a fix for that or a workaround. So I'm going to tell you a little about the workaround. And then down here in the spam stuff and some of these other things, I didn't find the kinds of capabilities on the iPad client that I found in Outlook. It's very possible that they exist, but you have to deal with them up at the iCloud.com level, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when I get a little further along. Let's see. I thought quite a bit about how to do this tonight, and initially I was going to actually bring up the client and go through and work through it and talk through this stuff. And I realized that I don't use this every day, and I was going to get totally lost and wind up wasting everybody's time. So what I've done is I've built a set of slides, and they basically are screen captures with some markings on them that let us walk through what I found as I work through it on the client. So it's a little more controlled in terms of how we'll go through it, and hopefully it'll make it easier for you all to understand, and I'll be a little more efficient in using your time. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is adding contacts to your contact list and removing them. So the base of this slide is the Outlook client. And you see up here, there are a number of different things that you can do. But in terms of the simplest way to add a contact to your contact list is you basically just right click on the contact's or the sender's name in the email. And it will bring up a little menu. And one of the items in the menu is add to the Outlook contacts. And all you have to do is click on that row in the menu, and it will bring up for you a contact form. And it'll actually have the full name of the contact. It'll have the email and a display as proposal for you. And so it'll have the basic information already there. If the basic is all you want, you just come up here to the upper left and click Save and Close, and it will pop you back to the email that you were looking at back to this view. And that member will be in the Outlook clients. Now to verify that, I only have the left side here of that Outlook client page. Down at the bottom, there's this little icon with the two people, which is the contact list stuff. You left click on that. It'll bring up a page that's shows the contact lists, and you'll discover that over here it says My Contacts, and it says Contacts this computer only, and it has a list of them. And here is Johnny Cox. That's the one we just added. So I said, here's Johnny. So this list may be very long, so you may have to scroll through this list to find them, to verify them. But this seems like a pretty easy way to do it. So if it's somebody that you've got an email from, you can quickly do it like this as you go through those emails. Now, if you haven't gotten an email from them, so this is somebody that just says, here's my email, add me to your contacts, or you talk to somebody, decide that you'd like to add them, then what you do is in that Outlook base page, in the upper left, there's a little item here called New Items. You click on that, you get this pop-up menu. And I've cheated a little bit here. When you get these menus, it doesn't have the red outline. I did that to make it easier to see that relative to the background. And you'll see here, there's contact. So you hit the new items, it'll pop up this menu, click on contact, and then it'll bring up that same contact form, but now it doesn't have any data in there. So it doesn't put in a name or anything. You have to type everything in yourself. So I think the minimum is the full name, the email address, and how you want them displayed on the email list. So those are two easy ways to sort of do individual items. The other thing that you can do, and I think we've talked about this a couple times, if you're trying to move from one client or one ISP provider to another, you can do an export and an import. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how that process works. But one thing you have to do before you start is you have to have a pretty good idea when you're on the machine or the client that you're exporting. You'll need to have a place in mind as to where you're going to store it, because when you find out how to do the export, it'll say, where do you want this? So you'll need to sort of have a plan for that. When you do the import, you'll need to take a look at what kinds of things can this particular client import. And I'm going to show you in Outlook how you can figure that out. But you'll have to do the same thing when you do the export, because most likely there will be several choices. And you'll need to make sure that when you export it to the same kind of file that you can import on the other end. And it's possible that you'll have a mismatch, and then you'll be Googling to try to find some kind of converter, probably. The other thing you'll need is some kind of a mechanism, maybe a USB drive or whatever, that you can store this export on, carry it over to the other machine if it's a different machine, and then do your import from that USB thing. So those are sort of things to think about before you get started. Now in Outlook, when you want to do an export, you come up to this upper left-hand corner, and there's an item here called File. If you click on File, it opens another window in front, and it says it's called Information. And there's an entry in the menu called Open and Export. You click on that. When you do that, it will pop up another window. And this window says Open and Export. And down here, you see an item that says Import Export. Click there. And then that will bring up this window on the left, which does both. The first couple items are how it exports. So it'll export to an RSS feed to an OPML file. I have no idea what that is, so I'm not going to explain it. The second one is export to a file. If you click on that, you'll get this window, and it basically says Outlook will export either a comma separated values list, or it will output one of these Outlook data files. And you may have heard about these PSTs. They're also used for storing email. So you can go either way. I'm sort of I like the comma separated one, because you can actually go into that with Excel and do some editing on it if you want to before you carry it over to the other side. Now, on the import side, it says Outlook can import from a vCard file or a .vcf file, from a calendar file, from another program, or from some of these RSS fields. And if you click on, oops, got ahead of myself. Okay. So we'll look at so this particular one will do those, but it will also, when you click on this import from another program or file, it'll tell you it can import from comma separated. So I'm just going to use comma separated in this one. I just wanted to make you aware that you need to make sure that what you export can be read by the side you're moving to. So then when you actually want to do the export, you're going to click on that entry that says comma separated file. You'll click next and it'll bring up a window that says which file is it that you want to export. And so in the Outlook client, you may have to do some searching. And if you have multiple email accounts, there may only be one of them that has a contacts file, or you may have multiple contacts files, and you may actually have to export all of those if you want to get all of your contacts. So this is one of the accounts that I had. It had a contacts file, and I'm going to export that. So I find that file and I select it, and then I click on next. Oops. When I click on next, then it brings up this window that gives me the opportunity to save that file, but it doesn't give me a name. So it gives me the option to browse. So I click on browse, and then it gives me a window that I can go search all over my computer and decide where I want to put this. So if I've got a USB drive, I would browse to the USB drive, pick that, perhaps open a folder on it, give this thing a file name, and then say OK down here, and it's going to export that the contents of that file that was contacts to this file on the USB drive. Okay. And here, so if you go ahead and do that, say OK here, the next thing that comes up is it's going to save that file, and it gives you the entire path for the target folder. When you click on next, that's just to verify it. When you click on next, you're going to come up with another one that says the following actions will be performed, export. And there's an option here to do some mapping of custom fields. That's a rather complicated process. So I would say don't do that unless you have to. I'm not going to explain it tonight. So I just say finish. And then I go down and look at the target that I set up, and I have a contacts export that's a CSV file. I didn't open that to look at it, well, to show you, but if you open it up, it's basically an Excel type file, but it's in that CSV form. You can go in and edit that if you want to add more contacts to it or modify some of the data before you do the import. To do the import, you're going to go to whatever machine has the Outlook client on it. So this is assuming an Outlook to Outlook kind of a transfer. Here, you're going to come back, you're going to go through that same set of steps that we went through, get down to this menu, and now we're going to do import from a program or file. As I said, it'll come up and say comma separated values. You're going to click on next. Down here, you'll click on next, and it's going to give you a place for that file. You're going to browse again to find that file, but it also gives you some choices here as to do you want duplicates to be created? Do you not want to import things? So if something is already in your contact list, it won't import that. Or you can say, if there's a new one in this contact file in the export, use that to replace the one in my contact file. So you can make the choice here. If you're only importing a few, you might just say allow duplicates, and then you can go in and fix them later. If you've got a whole lot, you may want to think seriously about how you're going to do this. So once you do, if you click browse here, it's going to do essentially what it did up above. It'll give you this kind of a window. You'll go look for wherever that USB drive or whatever, you'll find the file and you'll click on it and you'll go through the steps then to suck it in. So I decided to not go through all these steps, but it's pretty much just sort of following the steps in the process. It'll tell you what you need. You can enter that information. When you have the full set of information, you'll be able to click on next and do that. So it's a tricky process, but if you're moving from one place to another, like I'm seriously considering going from Wide Open West email account to the Proton Mail that we heard about earlier in the summer, I might want to do this in order to move contacts from one place to another. Okay, the next thing in my list here was to talk about email groups. And if you're an old timer like I am, we used to call these email aliases, where you could give a name to a group of people. And it may be a work group or family units or club members or whatever, but it enables you to give one name to a group. And then when you're sending emails, you just send it to that one name rather than to the group. You can use it in a to list, a CC list, or a blind copy list. And I'll come back and talk about that a little bit later after we've done some of this. And most email tools support these. I looked at Outlook, Thunderbird, some of the stuff on the iPhone and the iPad. The first time I looked at the iPad, this actually was supported. When I went back a couple of days ago, this seems to be gone. I'm hoping it's just because of this update or whatever that screwed things up and we can fix it. But I'm going to show you a way to do the sort of brute force. Okay. As Joe said, time for a drink. Pardon me. So to create one of these group lists, you're going to go back to that contact list view of the world. Click on this little icon at the bottom. It'll bring up a different type window. And this window basically, well, actually, this window has on the left column your contacts. It turns out that you could actually have multiple files that have contacts in them. And so these files here are if you have multiples, they will probably show up in here as the multiples. The one that's highlighted has these contacts in it. And the first 4 contacts are all individual contacts. And each of these other 3 here are group contacts that I constructed as I was playing around with this. If you highlight a contact, you'll see over here the contact information for that selected member. If you highlight one of these group members or one of these group lists, you'll get a listing of the members. And I'll show you that after we create one. So on this page, you're going to, in the upper left-hand corner, click this new contact. So it's new contact group up here. So you'll click on that new contact group. That'll bring up a form down here. So this group window or form opens up. There'll be a place in here that you'll type in whatever you want this name to be. And I would suggest including either the word group or G or GRP or something so that you remember that this particular contact is a group list of some kind. And then you can click on Add Members, and it will allow you to pull in members from your contacts from an address book or a new email contact. If you say, I want to do contacts or people who are already contacts, it'll give you a list of the existing contacts. And then you can double click on a contact, or you can also double click on one of the group names in here, and it'll add it to this row down at the bottom. After you've double clicked and selected every one of the contacts that you want, they'll all be down here on the row. You can click OK, and it will put them into the group list. And then what you'll see here is this secondary window will go away. The name of the new group will be here in the window, and the members that you put in it will be listed behind it. So I now have I made up one group list, and I only put 2 members in it. So you can add as many members as you want, but you can see that listing. Now, if I go back to that email group, to the email groups page, this is on a different computer. So I had more contacts on there, but I also had a number of groups. Here I highlighted one of the groups, and over here, it sort of, in a funny way, lists the members. I'm not quite sure why it lists them this way, but I would imagine if I click on them, or actually, let's try an experiment here. If I do this and go back over, so you now should actually see my Outlook client. You seeing that? I need a nod or two. Okay. So if I go down here to the clients, and well, that's right. This is the one that doesn't have any lists, any groups in it. So just for kicks, let's do new contact list. We're going to name it Test for Tonight. And I'm going to say I want to add some members. I'm going to add them from the clients. So let me add a few. So I just go through here and I double click on them and it adds them. So now I've got a list of contacts. I can hit OK, and there they are in the list. Now, when I'm done, I hit save and close up here. And now hopefully down here is Tester for Tonight. And if I highlight that, okay. Oh, I know. And so in this window up here, there are different views. So the view that I had when I first came in here was this list view. So when I came down here and looked at Tester for Tonight, it just gave me this list view. If I want to see the breakdown of who's in there, I go up here and say people. And now when I go down, so it does in fact put them that way. Oh. So this is what you learn when you do this. So I click Tester for Tonight, it shows them this way. And if I click here, members, it expands them. And then if you want to look at a particular member, you can open their list or open their sheet. Okay. And we did that. We did that. Oh, one other thing. If you're using Outlook, when you go to write an email and you put in the to list, if you start putting in the name, it will do that sort of autofill for you and bring up anything. So if you have a set of groups and you start each one with a name G dash or something, it'll bring up all those groups. I picked this one. When it puts a group name in the to list or the CC list, it'll be in this format with just the name and a little plus sign. If you want to verify and see who's in there, you can click on the plus sign. If you do that, you'll get a warning that says, okay, we'll expand that list, but you can't go back to just the single name. So if you click OK, it'll expand it out and you can see it all. If you say cancel, it'll just leave that name. It's one of those quirks that's sort of painful, but it allows you to see the whole set if you want to. It's probably easier to go back to the contact list page and do it that way. And so this is what happens when you expand it. It gives you all the names. So one of the things that Tim had in his suggested list was to talk about how do we use this in sending emails out to lots of people. So I did a little experiment and I used this email that I sent. I addressed it to myself. And then I put a blind copy to a group. So I put the group one down here in the blind copy, and then I sent that email. And when I went over and looked at my the receiver on my Gmail, so this was my Gmail client, and looked at the email that came in, it said it was from J.R. Freeberg, and this was part of that email, and it was sent to me. I don't see anything. I was on the blind copy list. So this email came from the blind copy list, and I can't see anybody else. They made a jump. Let's see. I think I got these out of sequence. Okay. Yeah, I left something out in here. So basically, this email, I was on the to list by myself, so I show up here, but you don't see any of the other people who were on the blind copy list. But I had another email account that was on the blind copy list, and I come down here. This one was on the blind copy list. It sees people who were on the to list, but again, it doesn't see the other people on the blind copy list. So if you're sending an email to a large group, you want to put them on that group on the blind copy list, because then all the people on the list don't see all the people. And if somebody accidentally hits reply to all, they don't wind up sending email to everybody. So if one good way to use the blind copy thing is to use it with a group name if you're sending out group stuff. I probably didn't get that as cleanly described as Tim would want. Tim, have you solved your audio problem? Anyway, if there are questions about that, we can talk through that later or at a different session. How are we doing here? Okay. So the next thing I wanted to talk a little bit about was handling spam and junk. And so the first thing I'm going to talk about is how do you block a sender? And the first question is sort of why would you want to do that? Well, obviously, if it's spam or junk, unwanted advertising, something you've unsubscribed to, but they haven't stopped sending it yet, something that you're not really interested in, but you haven't unsubscribed to it, and you just want to block the thing. So in Outlook, you have a couple of options. One thing you can do is you can do sort of the one-time move of the spam or of an email into a spam folder or into a junk folder. And basically all you have to do is click on the email and then drag it over and drop it in the spam file, or drag it over and drop it in the junk folder. Now, the key is that solves the problem for that one email, but that doesn't block future emails that come in. There's a second way that you can do that. Is there is an icon up here that is a move icon. You can click on it. It brings up a little menu, and you can do a copy to a folder if you want, or pick some other folder to move it to. So that's a second way, but again, that one doesn't solve the long-term problem. And if you do the other folder, then it'll let you pick the folder. Those are okay if you're doing onesie twosies, but if you really want to get rid of this stuff, what you want to do is you want to mark that sender as a bad actor, if you will, or a bad sender. So what you want to do then is, in the case where you're reading your email in Outlook, all you have to do is right-click on the email message, and it'll pop up this nice little menu. And one of the things it has on it is it also has move. So you could use it to move if you want to, but it has junk. And if you click on junk, it brings up another menu. And the top thing on there is block sender. And if you click block sender, what it does is it adds this email, the sender of this one, to a list. And in the future, people who send from that email address, all of their email will go into the spam folder. You also have a choice that you can have it go directly into trash, but typically it would go into the spam folder. You've got a couple of other options down here we'll talk about in a minute or two. But this one, if you click here, it blocks the person, puts them on a list. It will come back and tell you, I have put this sender, and it'll give you the name, has been added to your blocked senders list. And the message, okay, it actually moves it to junk, sorry, but it tells you that, so you'll know it. And then you can click OK. You can say, don't show me this message again if you don't want it to tell you every time it's blocking a sender. But I like to see them, so I let it do it. Now, the other thing you have here, now, we'd like to see that list in case we want to remove somebody from it or to verify that they got there. So the way to see that list is to, again, right-click on, and it could be any one of the emails. Anyone will bring up this menu. You click on junk, and you click on the last item down here, junk email options. That'll bring up this first window here, and it has several tabs. And one of those tabs is blocked senders. So you click there and it'll open a window. And this window, you can see the tab here says blocked senders. And I just blocked J.R. Freeberg at Gmail. And so that one is on this list. Now, if you want to remove somebody from the list, all you have to do is click on them and then click remove, and it'll take them off. If you click add, I think it'll give you a little form or whatever that you can add an email to it, and add emails directly if you want here. And here's if you want to remove it, you click on the email, then click remove. Now, the other thing about this, and this may be, I'm a pack rat, so I have gigabytes of email sitting around on several machines, but if you're not careful here, you can accumulate quite a bit of stuff in either your spam folder or your junk folder or even your trash folder. So you really should make sure that if you're doing this, you revisit these on a regular basis and make sure most of them you have the option. If you right click on the spam folder, it'll give you the option to trash, to delete all those. The same thing with the junk folder. If you right click on the junk folder, it will give you the option to throw all of those away. So you should go through and do that. It's also, you should take a look in there because it's very possible that somebody got in there by accident. If you have somebody who just started sending you email and it's the first or second email they've sent you, the client may actually get carried away and throw them into the junk folder for you. So you always should check that folder to make sure, and you should check both of them, spam and junk, because the different clients will do different things to you. So you want to make sure. Now, the other case, if you have somebody that is sending you email for the first time and they say, "Did you get my email?" And you say, "No, I didn't." If it's been more than a few minutes, you may want to go look in the spam folder and the junk folder because it may very well be that it's gone there. And you want to make sure that you look at the spam and the junk folder for the email account that they sent the email to, because Outlook gives you the option to bring together email from a number of different accounts, and each of them will typically have separate junk and spam accounts. So you want to make sure you're looking at the right spam account when you do this. I'm going to put myself a note there. All right. And now if you discover that you've put something in that junk folder and you don't want to, or let's see, if you go in the spam folder and you find something that you didn't want to be spam, you can right click on it, bring up this menu and click on the junk. And there's a thing here that says not junk. And if you pick not junk, then it'll basically put that email back in your inbox for you. So in going through those junks, if you discover you find things, this is how you can bring them back. And here's the empty option. So if you want to get rid of everything in spam, you've gone through it, made sure everything is really spam, then you right click on spam, it will bring up this menu and you say empty the folder. And this also works for junk. It may actually work for any folder. I haven't checked that out to see, but I know it works on both spam and junk. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to talk about, and how are we doing on time? Not too bad. Okay, I'll talk a little bit about this one. You have the option in Outlook to define a safe sender. And this is somebody, and what Outlook actually does is it actually puts, and I haven't looked to see whether it actually physically puts them all on that list or whether it does it, but it actually, everybody who sends you email, everybody that you send email to, Outlook considers a safe sender and will not put email from somebody you sent email to into your spam or your junk folder. At least they claim that. I didn't do any testing to verify that, but it may be. Now you may have somebody like your financial advisor, your wife, various people that you may want to declare as a safe sender, and you can put them on this list to make sure that your junk filter doesn't filter them out at some point in time. To do that, you basically go through this same sort of process. I'll start you in the middle. So I received an email from, let's say it's my wife. I can right click on that, bring up our neat little menu, click on junk. And instead of clicking on block sender, I can say never block the sender or never block the sender's domain. And if I say never block the sender, it will pop up a little thing and it'll say the sender, blah, 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 has been added to your safe senders list. So you'll get verification that they've been put on that list, and you can click OK. If you want, you can go use that same process we looked at and go over and look and see that they're there. If I look at the safe senders, that one that I just named, I was using my same Gmail account, got put in the safe senders. So now I'm both on the safe senders and the block senders. I'm not quite sure what Outlook will do with that. Now, the other thing you can do is if you have email, like the email that comes from CCS, you can right click on that, and then they have a special listing down here that's called Never Block This Group or Mailing List. And if you click on that one, it comes up and it says, always trust email from this email, which is the explosion of CCS. Always trust email sent to the following address. So if you're on the blind copy list to an email that went to CCS, you can click here and it will realize that you were on the blind copy list to an email sent out by CCS, and it won't throw it in the trash. So it's sort of a cool thing. I didn't realize that you could do this kind of thing, but you can click on both of those, one or both, and then it'll put you on one or both of those lists. And then, so you have a list here of safe senders and then the safe recipients. This is for that blocked contact list kind of thing. If you're on that blocked list, but you're a safe sender, it won't throw you into the spam file. Now, you'll notice down here on the safe senders list, it says, always trust email from my contacts. So people you've put in your contact list will initially be trusted unless you go in and specifically mark them as blocked. Or if you change this default, then new people you add to your contact list won't be automatically put on the safe sender list. And you can automatically add people or emails to the safe sender list if you want that. That's getting a little touchy. I'm not sure whether you want to do that or not. Okay. There are two other on this top level. Up here on this top level menu, there are a couple of other blocks here. One is on this international tab. You actually talked about that. Oh, the international tab. On the international tab, it gives you the option that you can block senders from different countries or with different .uk. So if you want to block everybody who has an email address that ends in .uk or Uganda or Antigua or whatever, you can block from different countries. or you can also block people who have different encodings to the email. So if you get an email with a particular language encoding, you can block it. And so there's a list of things here that you can block. Not sure that I would take the time to do that, but you have the option to do that. And here's an explanation of exactly what Outlook thinks those lists are. Now, there's one other thing that I'm going to talk about here, and I'm going to go through this one quickly, but there's a specific point I want to make in here. And it also has to do with the iCloud stuff. So I discovered I have a brokerage account with Edward Jones, and they were starting to go all electronic. So they were sending me all of these proxy things and updated prospectuses and all these kind of things. And they were sending them to my email, and I wasn't getting any of them. And they said, well, did you check your spam filter and stuff like that? And I said, well, I haven't, but I will. So I went in and I checked my filter on my client, because I do all this email on a client, checked it on there, didn't do anything. And they kept sending me stuff and it kept disappearing. And what I finally realized was that it was the ISP that was dumping this stuff. So I actually had to go into the online version of my WOW account. And on the online version, there's a spam filter and there's a junk thing, and you can individually put things in spam, but you can also go into the preferences, and they have a listing for trusted addresses. And what I had to do was I actually had to go in and put several trusted addresses. The Edward Jones folks were sending me letters, and they said, put these addresses in your trusted stuff. And so it turns out that I had to do it up at the web access view of my WOW account, because those emails weren't getting to my client. They weren't getting to my PC at all. WOW was killing them before they set them down. So there are some things that you probably need to do at this level. And it looks like on the iPad, some of the things you used to be able to do on the iPad, you actually have to go in to your iCloud account via the web access to iCloud.com and do things like group lists and maybe some of the other items that you may have done in the past on the iCloud or on the iPad. You may have to do it at that other level now. Okay, I think I'm going to stop on here. I have some stuff in here about folders. Is somebody trying to say something? Okay, I'm gonna stop the Outlook stuff at this point. If you want to, you can look at these. I go in and talk about how you create a rule, and I don't have this for the iPad. So Donna, this is something that we should figure out how you do this for the iPad. If you want to organize some of those things, what you can do in Outlook is you can create a rule that says all of the emails from this particular sender, I want them put in a particular folder. And you can, normally that would run on new things coming in, but you can tell it to run on everything in your inbox. So all those hundreds of things that are sitting there in your inbox, you can tell it, well, all of them from this sender who's important, put in this folder, and other ones put in other folders. And so you can organize some of this by folder using some of these filters. And we'll try and figure that out for you in an offline. But I have in here how you can do that in Outlook if you're an Outlook user. So I'm going to jump down now to some of the tips for the iPad. There aren't as many, and they look a little different, but I'm going to talk about the contact list stuff, and I'm not going to talk, well, I'm going to talk about groups, and I'm going to talk a little bit about spam stuff. So the first one here, how do you add a contact? So this is what, at least the way my wife and I look at email on the iPad. There are mailboxes, and on this particular iPad, there's only one mailbox, which is for my WOW email. So there's one inbox. So here, if there's an email that comes in, you can tap the email to highlight it. And so that'll get it highlighted. When you once you highlight it, it will open that particular email, and you can see who that email is from. If you tap on the name of the email sender, it will change that to be highlighted. So I hope you can see that this actually is now blue. It was black over here, but it changed to a highlighted blue. If you now tap on that highlighted blue name, it'll give you a little menu. And this menu has on here, create new contact. Now, because of the way the iPad works, half the time I did this, I couldn't see the whole menu. So you may have to scroll down on this menu to find the create new contact. But if you click on create new contact, what it'll do is it'll bring up a little folder or a little form like here. And just like in Outlook, it will fill in the name and the email address. And if that's all you want, you can just click done and be finished. If not, you can add phone numbers, you can add additional emails, and there's other stuff down here that you can also add to the contact list if you want to. And when you're finished, you click done, and they get added to your contact list. Okay, so that's the simple way to do it. I couldn't go into the contact list. We couldn't figure out, because our stuff is all figured out, all messed up. I couldn't figure out how to go into the contact list directly and do this for you. So I'll try to do that. And I'll try to send out an update at some point in the future. Now, for the email groups, it turns out there is a cheat that has been dreamed up. It used to be that on, I think it was this view, there was a little menu down here or something, or on one of these views of the email that had a thing that said a plus. And if you clicked plus, it said add an email group or add a contact, but that's disappeared. So we'll see. But the workaround that somebody dreamed up is sort of interesting. So basically what they do is they, how did I get this in here? Okay, let me go back. So they added a new contact. So I figured out a way to do that, but I don't remember what I did. That's interesting. Oh, okay. So I guess at one point you can actually get to a listing that lists all your groups. And there, if you hit this plus, it lets you add a group member or add a new contact. The problem is, in order to do that, the way I did it before, you had to have gotten an email from somebody to make them a contact. Using this, it looks like I found a way to make a contact without having it. Anyway, I'll figure that out and send some information to you on how to do that. But what they did was they created a contact with a special name, so they knew it was a group. They went in, and in the notes section, they edited, they did an edit like you can do, I guess you tap it and then you type in stuff. And you type in the list of email addresses that you want in this group. And when you're done, you click whatever it is you click to say, I'm done adding text. And then what you do is you do a copy of that. You scroll up to the email addresses and you say, click on add email, it'll pop up home, and you paste that list into the email. And you click done. And now you have a contact that has, in the notes, has the list, and in the email portion of the contact, it has a mail. If you want to send email to the group list, you actually have to go into the contact and click on this mail. So you would do this by, on the iPad, going to the contact app. You'd open that up, go down to the contact that has the group name, and you'd click on mail. You can't do this from within the mail client. You have to do it from within the contact list folder. You click on email, it'll send an email to this set of people that you have in that email slot. If you try it from the email side, using them from the email client, using this name, it doesn't work. It says I can't do it. Somebody figured out that this will work. So in the world where your stuff is messed up and you can't figure out how to do group mails, you can do this. You probably don't want to do this for something like CCS, but for a small group, you can do it. Okay, enough on that. Now, in terms of blocking senders, so I'm sort of jumping down right into the junk mail stuff. It's very similar to it's actually the same thing we did for adding a contact. You have an email you want to block, you tap on the email, it highlights the email, you tap on the name, like we did before, it highlights the name, and that same little menu that came up, one of the very first things on the menu is block this contact. I find it interesting that it's higher in the list to block a contact than it is add the contact. But you can block the contact. So block the contact, and then you'll notice that it will actually change the text when you say block the contact. I think it actually comes up and says, do you really want to do this? And you click, yes, I really want to do this. And then you'll see that the text says unblock the contact. So if you want to unblock them, you basically come back through this process. You find them in the email, or you find them in the contact list and highlight them and come down in their information and unblock them. It's a little grotesque. I'm hoping if they get things worked, it'll be better. Oh, there is a second way to unblock them. This took us a while to figure out. Unblock a sender. You can go through the process I just went through, find their email, highlight it, tap it, go through and find the email that way. You can also find the blocked email list, which turns out to be the same list that blocked telephone numbers are on, but you can access it by going to settings and then mail and then threading. and blocked. Terrific. And you come up with this screen that shows here. So here's mail, and I had scrolled down to something called threading and block. I get to here. Now, my natural reaction was to start scrolling and trying to find the name of the contact, but you don't want to do that. You want to tap edit at the top. When you tap edit, it puts a little minus sign in a circle in front of everybody on that list, whether they're a telephone number or an email sender. And they're really nice. They put all the email senders down on the bottom. So my wife for months has been blocking telephone numbers on her iPhone. And so all these iPhone numbers are on here that have been blocked. Took me a while to scroll through all of them. You get down here and you find somebody that you want to unblock. You tap on that name. It will slide that name over and it'll pop up a little block here that says, do you really want to do this? And you click on unblock and that name disappears from the list. And then you have to tap done to get all these red things to go away. To me, it's a little grotesque, but that's the way it is. I didn't find any way to do anything like safe senders on the iPad. And the whole thing about emails that are blocked by the ISP, I think in terms of the complement to what I did was you would have to go into your iCloud. If you have an iCloud account, there may be a way in the iCloud account to do some kind of safe sender kind of thing. And okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of ways to move stuff to junk. So this is a way you can block a sender. You can also move stuff that's already in your inbox. So you can do that sort of one by one by swiping to the left on a contact. It'll bring up this little menu in here. You have to click more or tap on more, and it'll bring up a menu that says move it to junk. And so it'll move it one by one to junk. You can do the same thing just by tapping on the email you want to move and opening that email. And if you have really good eyes, you'll notice that there's a little arrow down here. And if you tap on that arrow, it basically brings up that same menu that I got in the other case. And it allows you to move the message. And so you can move it one by one. Now, if you don't really, if you're sort of in Donna's mode, and actually, Donna, this could help you because, let's see, yeah. Donna, are you still with us?
Oops, yes, I'm still here watching.
Okay, so I'm gonna point out what I originally want to point out, and I'm gonna tell you how you can get rid of a bunch of those emails. Okay, so you're in your email, you're reading your email, and you've got a view that looks like this. There may be another column to the left of this, which is your accounts and folder stuff. But you've got your list of emails and you see part of one that's open. If you go up above here, and this is up above the list of emails, and you click edit or you tap edit, it will put circles in front of all of those emails. And you can then go through and select them. You can select them all. If you know you want to get rid of them all or move them all, you could select all, or you can go through and click the ones. And then down here after you click the ones or after you tap on the ones that you want to select, they'll be highlighted like this. And once you click the ones you want to click, You must have to click something to get it to go back here. Oh, as soon as you click some of these, then you will have a menu here. And if you click move, it will give you an option as to where do you want to move them. And so you then tap one of these boxes and it will let you move it to a different box. Or if you want to send them to trash, so this is what you may want to do, Donna. If there are emails you want to get rid of, you do the edit, you go through and you can do as many of these as you want, and then you click trash and it'll put them all in the trash folder for you, all in one fell swoop. Or you can move them to a folder. And it looks like I didn't complete that process, sorry. But I think what happens is you'll say move, and then it'll give you a screen that lets you pick the folder that you want to move to. I'll fix that and do an update and send it out to folks or make it available. Now, the other thing that you may want to do, and this may help you also, Donna, is you may want to add folders that are email folders. So, and I'm not sure, is this if this may be one of the things Bob is going to talk about next week. And I don't know whether you're going to talk about the mechanisms or you're just going to talk about the strategy. But for Donna and people like me who are trying to get organized, we may want to add some folders here that are special folders that will help us get organized. Like all my stuff for CCS is one I'm going to make, or everything from my wife, or everything from my daughter, or various things. So you may want to add some folders. To do that, in the view where you have all of your accounts and the folders under the accounts, there's an edit at the top. So before we used the edit that was above the emails, now we're going to tap the edit above all these boxes. And one thing to notice, the iPad doesn't call these folders. All of these are also called mailboxes. So the inbox is a mailbox. The Hotmail account level is sort of a mailbox. All these other things are mailboxes. So we're going to click edit, and then the words new mailbox appears down at the bottom. So down at the bottom of this column, new mailbox will appear. We click on new mailbox, and then it gives me a little form up here where I can type the name I want to put on the new mailbox. And then I have to decide where I want to put it. So I click or I tap on this little arrow that you can barely see, and it'll bring back up this listing that shows you all these mailboxes. You can select the account, and then it'll just drop it down at the bottom of the list for the account. Or you can also pick any one of these email folders or boxes, and it will drop it underneath that email folder. So you can make a hierarchy of folders if you want to by cascading these things. You click on the box or on the email box, mailbox you want to put it under, and it will then put that in this box over here. See, yeah. So it'll put it over here. I did Hotmail, and it puts it in here. And once you do that, then you can look over at the set, and this test folder got put in under test folder. So on my old, I have two iPads I was using. On the older iPad, I had to put it under an account. On the newer iPad, I was actually able to choose one of these folders or mailboxes that was under Hotmail. I could have used, I did it down here. You see Gmail box. I did a test TCS and another. So I did it down here too. So you can actually, on the newer iPad, I could cascade them and I added folders underneath folders. So when you're doing this selection and do the location, you can either do up here or down there, depending upon the vintage of your iPad. And I don't know what the different vintages were, but you can try it and see what happens. So that's a way you can create folders, and then you can use this other mechanism for selecting and putting them in those folders. And I think that's all I want to go through. Well, let's see. No, I'm not going to talk. If I put a couple of slides in here about iCloud Mail, and I'll tell you what I think they're saying, which may or may not be true. It appears that if you have an Apple ID, and you may have that, I have an Apple ID, I don't have an iPad, I don't have a Mac. Way back in the dark ages, I had an iPod, a little tiny one. And for doing iTunes with that, I got an Apple ID. If you have an Apple ID, they have reserved an iCloud.com email account for you. You may not know that, but they have it. If you log in to www.icloud.com, it'll ask you for your Apple ID. You give it your Apple ID, it'll open your Apple ID account, and in there it will have what they gave you for an email address under iCloud.com. Now, iCloud.com is one of these webmail things. It's not another client or whatever. You have to go to it. Well, I suppose if you set it up, you could get at it via a client, but I think they're trying to get you to use a web email using this iCloud Mail. So there's a couple of things here. If you haven't looked at your iCloud.com account, you might want to look just out of curiosity. If you're looking for another email address, here's another email address if you want it. I find it interesting. My wife didn't even know about it, so we'll see. So that's in there for interestingness. Okay, so I have a couple of things I will go back and clean up on the iPad stuff. I'm going to put this version, and let me do this. I'm going to save it right now. And I'm also going to save it as a PDF. This takes a while. The PowerPoint file is 40 megabytes. Okay, it took it. So I think, Jerry, see if I can find it. There's the chat. Well, it's not letting me play with chat. Oh, I have to click more, right? That saves chat. All right. Once I get done here, I will put it on the chat, or I will try to upload it to chat. That doesn't work, I'll talk to Jerry and we'll make it available to everybody, but I'm going to try to get it into the chat as Jerry's closing things down. So questions you want to address to me now, or you can send to my email, or at our next meeting, I can answer questions, whatever. Let's see here. I haven't looked at what's in here.
May I ask, are you trying to figure out how to upload these files into chat?
Yes,
Okay, open up chat.
yep,
You have down at the bottom.
3 dots, right?
You have 3 dots. You don't need to use that. To the
All
left
right.
of that, you have
Oh,
a
there's
smiley
the-
face. And to the
there's the
left of
little-
that, you have the document.
Yeah,
And document, if you click on it, it says all these kinds of places. It'll be your computer.
all right, I got it.
And then you'll browse.
Now I have to browse.
And you can do PowerPoint. You can do PowerPoint and you can do PDF. Whichever or both.
So I'm going to do, where did it save that? It saved it in a different place.
Most presenters just do the PDF.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do because it's a lot smaller. Uh,
And everybody's got PDF.
That's it.
Not everybody's got PowerPoint.
You select your computer and then go to where you got the file.
Okay, it is loading.
All right.
All
Got
right,
it.
Got it.
There it be.
Downloading.
No, I don't.
It's not there yet.
So
Okay,
I-
how would I, when he puts it in chat, how do I download it from there?
Okay, look in chat. When
I'm
it
in
says,
chat now.
it
Are
says
you-
Jim Freeberg to everyone.
I
And
don't
there's a,
see that anywhere.
it's the very last thing that was posted in chat.
Are you on an iPad, Donna,
It's not on my iPad.
on your PC?
I don't have a PC app. Oh, no,
well,
that's always my problem with chat. I've never been able to find what
Okay,
everybody's asking for. So I've gone
Well,
here. I'm still, the last one is from Joe to everyone.
click
Has to
chat.
leave a little early. I have nothing else in chat after that.
okay, so after that, there's nothing?
Nothing.
Not on
got
an
something.
iPad. Not on an iPad, there won't be.
Ah,
So,
You can't
okay,
count
I'll
on,
write to you and maybe you can write back and attach. it,
yeah,
'cause
when you send me an email, I'll send it to you directly.
Okay, thank you, because there's no way it works with this iPad. Okay, thank you.
If Bob says it doesn't work on an iPad, I believe him. It doesn't work on an iPad.
Me too.
We've had people have this problem before with iPad. And not just in this meeting, other CCS meetings. It appears to be a bug in the software. Good talk anyway.
I
Thanks.
can tell you what I do with the chat. Very simply, all I do is highlight the entire chat and drag it over to Word. Then I can edit it. Because a lot of the chats that I go to are garbage, you know?
Yeah.
And I just want the certain ones, and that seems to be the simplest, easiest way, and it becomes a Word document.
I agree
Not
with you, Stan.
available on iPad, though. I just checked again. I still don't see Jim's entry or anything. It's not here.
No, it may not be there on iPad. On a PC, on Linux, every place else it seems to be there, but not on iPad. But anyway, yeah, there's that select all for the chat. And then, as Stan says, you can put it into a document, which is very editable. Or you can download it just by saying save the chat and then work with that.
I was able to save the file just fine and really appreciate you uploading it so we can have something to refer to after the talk.
Yeah, that'll work for me too. And by the way, nobody stepped on my toes about Gmail because That's cloud and it's a little different. And I'm talking about the overall service and how to stay within your quota. That's a completely different problem.
So are you gonna talk about how one of the things that I've gotten confused about is it appears that you can have multiple Gmail accounts associated with a Google account.
Multiple addresses are possible, and I do not want to get into that. It's complicated.
Okay, that makes me feel better because I was trying to figure it out because I have a couple of Gmail accounts, and when I try to get to my Gmail directly on the web stuff and I go at it, it wants to give me, it wants me to sign up for another Gmail account in order to get into my Google account. And it gets very frustrating.
First thing, do you log into your actual Gmail, your original Gmail address first?
Typically not.
You have to. These other addresses are like sub addresses. And so you have to be logged in to your primary address, then you can get into the others.
So do I also have to log in if I'm in, let's say I'm in Chrome? Do I have to log into Chrome and then log into Gmail? And
no, logging into Gmail will log you into all Google services. It is single sign-on.
Aha, okay.
I've got 3 Gmail addresses, and each one has a separate password. And I can sign into each one totally separate of the other.
You may be able to do that as well. It's the difference between having different accounts or having different aliases.
So okay, this is great. So Wayne has 3 Gmail accounts. I think I have 3 Gmail accounts, or maybe only 2. Are those all associated with one Google account? Is there any way we can tell?
Yes, but I have different passwords for each one of them.
Well, but do you have 3 Google accounts or
no?
Yeah.
No, they will tie everything together based on your information you give them. They'll figure it out. They're very good at figuring these things out. They
So I should not have more than one Google account.
You have one Google account, but you may have different Gmail addresses.
Okay.
Right. That's what I have.
With different logins and passwords, if you have set up passwords for them.
Right.
Now, you may have sub addresses for which you didn't set up separate passwords. That also is possible.
Interesting. Okay.
Those are aliases.
Ah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So,
whole different realm I haven't dealt in.
Oh yeah, there are good reasons to have aliases. If you have a lot of ads or a lot of places you've ordered from, you might want to give them a different alias so that all that stuff goes into an account where you're just going to junk everything. It makes getting rid of your junk from Gmail very easy. But all of your addresses count toward your storage limit.
Yeah.
As if it were one account. You're only one person to them. So you have only one limit.
What is the size of Google? Because I've got about 8,000 emails sitting out there.
Depends on how big they are. And it counts all your photos, all your Drive contents, everything you've got at Google. It's all tied into the quota. And let me just Google what the quota is.
I think when you sign in, it'll show you how much you've got left.
Yeah, but it does tell you. And you can get
notifications at the bottom.
You can get notifications sent to you about your about how far you are on your quota. And it has that little bar on the bottom left that nobody ever looks at. until they get this notice that says you can't store anything more here. I'll be talking about that.
So changing topics just for a kick because we aren't quite done. I see Sanford, you're still there. I didn't buy something new today, but I'm using something new today. Jerry and I talked this afternoon about how I was doing this and setting up to do a practice. And just after I talked to Jerry, the camera in my laptop that I normally use for these meetings died. And I spent about an hour going through troubleshooters and all kinds of stuff, and I couldn't get the camera to work. So a year ago or so, I tried Droid Cam with my phone. And I hadn't used it because I didn't like the security on the whole thing. So tonight I got desperate and I had seen someplace that you could use Droid Cam thing over USB. So I'm actually using my phone over a USB link as my camera tonight. And I have the Wi-Fi turned off and I have the data turned off. So hopefully my phone isn't talking to anything other than my computer.
Well, it seems to be working flawlessly.
It does. I was amazed that it only took a few steps and tries to make it work. I found a YouTube video and I found a website that between the two of them, I was able to do it.
Now, when you connect your phone to the computer, have you considered using the new Windows 10 Your Phone app?
No, I haven't.
Because Al Cheeks showed us all about the Your Phone app. It only works fully on certain high-end Samsung phones, but they're trying to get it downstream. By Windows 11, they may have it.
I'll check that out.
So right now, you can't really do apps on anything other than about 3 or 4 models. But you can certainly share photos and everything else, chats, text, a lot of stuff. And you can share it very freely and very easily using the Microsoft app.
Cool. I will check that out.
Okay, I would like to thank everyone for a great presentation. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
And
thanks to Tim for suggesting topics.
And we'll see what Bob has next month. And I am going to sign everybody off.
Okay.
Take care, folks.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks for hanging in there, Jerry.
I'm trying the best. I had a couple episodes throughout the meeting, but I'm okay right now.
Yeah,
Good.
well,